Are you ready to rewind? Take a nostalgia-filled ride back to a simpler time. It's Acid Wash Memories, a retro pop culture celebration. And now your hosts, Joe Murata and Michael Quinn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 59 of Acid Wash Memories, a retro pop culture celebration. Today, we are clearly talking about Crystal Pepsi. My name is Joe Murata, alongside the world's biggest Coca-Cola fan, Michael Quinn. How you doing there, Michael?
Hi.
Hello there.
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear this episode.
Crystal clear why this was weird.
Yeah, it really will. We hope you guys drink this one up here.
Yeah.
We appreciate you joining us. If this happens to be your first time, well, we do have 58 other episodes available where, Quinn?
In the archives.
In the archive, so you can pop on over to there if you wish. Pop. Also, incidentally, the first ever episode that we've done here was the Cola Wars. So we have covered Pepsi.
Oh, it's coming full circle today.
It is. And I intentionally, when we did that one, left out the Crystal Pepsi aspect because I figured it would be much more fun to devote an entire episode to it. And that day has arrived, Quinn.
It's here, baby.
I'm very happy. And you guys are here. We appreciate you being with us here. Why don't you go over to Twitter and follow us there at AWM Podcast. You can also join our very friendly Facebook group. It's called Acid Wash Memories on Facebook, where people talk about soda and snacks and
stuff,
television,
old crap,
the Kansas City model, obviously.
The Kansas City model.
What is the Kansas City model?
All of that stuff, folks. You can find it over on our Facebook group, Acid Wash Memories. Just join it, and you will have fun over there. And that's it for the particulars. So, Quinn, we've talked about in detail Pepsi versus Coke,
yes.
right?
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
Really, you can't talk about Pepsi without talking about Coca-Cola.
They're tied.
They are.
By the hip.
Now, do you have your Coca-Cola with you today?
Ironically, no. But I do have some Crystal beverage here, I think.
Yes, it is clear.
It is clear.
It's not vodka,
Pepsi.
Folks. No, it's not Stoli or anything like that.
Or did you go find some weird, Crystal Pepsi on eBay that's been preserved?
Well, we'll see if you're still with us here in about a half hour. Yeah. But, folks, when you talk about these two, obviously the number one and the number two, Coca-Cola, as we covered in episode one, had learned a hard lesson in 1985 with, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't change the formula.
Right, don't fuck with the formula.
Coca-Cola is about to announce what it calls the most significant development in its history.
But in the early 90s, Pepsi learned, if it ain't Coke, just be Pepsi and stop screwing around. What are you doing?
I guess, yeah.
Right? What are you trying to do here?
Now get a free 2 liter of Crystal Pepsi.
But what happened was, those of you that remember Crystal Pepsi, I do. I drank the damn thing. Now, Quinn,
I didn't drink it, obviously, but I remember its existence and its marketing, and we got the Crystal now. This is what's going to do it. The Coke is finished.
Now you can see through it, so fuck Coke. It was clearly a failure.
Come on.
So a very brief recap of Pepsi, and by very brief, I mean very brief, okay? So Coca-Cola came first in 1886.
They did.
Pepsi was 1893, originally known as Brad's Drink.
Right. We went over this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Developed by Caleb Bradham, not Mr. Pepsi, unfortunately.
It should have been Mr. Pepsi.
It should have been. And it was renamed Pepsi in 1898 due to the promotion, the promulgation, if you will, that it alleviated symptoms of dyspepsia.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I don't think.
You would think it meant pep, adds pep to your step kind of thing, because it's got caffeine, but
no, dyspepsia. We're just going for the agita relief here.
Hey, it's a real thing.
Now, for all of, existence, it was Coca-Cola's number one competitor, right?
Right.
And it really, if we've learned anything, whether it comes to Sega versus Super Nintendo, Burger King versus McDonald's, the number two, in this case Pepsi, always likes to stick it, right?
They do.
Always. Remember the Pepsi?
But they can never beat the real thing.
That you can't beat the real thing or the feeling, from what I understand.
You can get number one for a little bit, but you're always going to be number two for the long term.
I think that's how it goes, because the Pepsi Challenge was one of those big volleys they did in the 70s throughout with the taste test, and it's like, everyone likes Pepsi better. No, they don't, or else that would outsell Coke.
In taste tests across Australia, over 50% of people preferred the taste of Pepsi Cola over the leading cola.
Oi, crikey. Me cola and the shrimp on the Bobby and Powell Hogan, crikey, Greg Norman.
Also, how do I trust a commercial by Pepsi? It's like, this doesn't seem like a fair and impartial taste test here.
Pepsi's everyone likes this better. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
And then obviously they even competed for the fast food presence we've talked about how both Wendy's and Burger King for periods of time both had Pepsi products.
Yes.
Which was huge.
This seems like an actual way to like edge out Coke, if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's just like make it so people don't have the option.
Right, yeah.
It's like, and then they get used to you, and then maybe they'll stick with it.
Like KFC, do you have the option, Quinn?
No, and it's very annoying.
You're very
because
upset.
KFC is delicious.
Right. They know
In
what
fact,
they're
now I order it from the Uber Eats, and then I get to have a Coke with it. So it's much better.
For $27, you can get your Colonel's chicken delivered to your house, right, Quinn?
They're actually cheaper. They're like 18 or something.
But obviously,
weirdly, like the Colonel of all people is like, "Hey, I'm the low-priced Uber option."
Well, we talked all about Harlan not long ago. We know his whole scenario.
Only 99 cents fee versus $2.50 or whatever.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Here at Wendy's, we proudly serve Coca-Cola brand products, along with our delicious old-fashioned hamburgers. Harlan Sanders was a real asshat.
But as you guys know, whether you prefer Coke or whether you prefer Pepsi, you know that Pepsi was never able to overtake Coke in the same way that, you know, the Yankees and McDonald's hold that same value over the Mets and Burger King, right?
It's true.
There's just a clear market leader.
People just know what's better.
Well, I don't mind Pepsi, but anyway.
I just mean to say is they know like which is the number one.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Now, to bring us up to speed here, in the mid to late 80s, there was a boom in the soda market due to the diet drink craze.
Right.
Diet Coke had been the biggest progenitor of that, as we know. You and I talked about it. Diet Coke was like a big freaking deal when it came out.
Just that, too. There was like light beer and like all sorts of beverages that were like, hey, this is better for you. It tastes like ass, but it's better for you.
Yeah, like Miller Lite, right? With taste great, less filling and all that. So there was a big push, as we've talked about, in the United States anyway, in our culture, in the zeitgeist of let's do healthier options, lighter. Remember Crystal Light and like all that shit? It tastes like you've spilled a chemical in your water by accident.
They're always terrible. Like they're never ever like I was watching the Super Bowl and there was like Poppy or something. Like some other they're like, this is the soda for a new generation. It's so much healthier. Like your grandkids are gonna be drinking this shit.
No, they won't.
Like they said that in the commercial.
No, they didn't. Did they really?
Said like this is like the soda your grandkids are gonna be talking about or whatever. And I was like, no, they aren't. They're just going to be drinking Coca-Cola like every other person for the last 100-something years. It's like, what are you talking about?
And if they're not drinking Coke, they're going to drink dyspepsia.
Yeah.
Obviously, right?
It will be the soda your kids and grandkids think of when they think of soda.
However, by 1991, the soda market had stalled. Growth, anyway. It didn't, wasn't losing tons of money, but it did slow down by the early 90s. And in terms of Pepsi, in particular, they had a big downturn because in 1990, that's when Burger King switched back to Coca-Cola.
Even Burger King was like, hey, we want to get to number one. We can't be serving the number two and also be number two.
That is a good point, though, right?
Like,
why don't they just sell Sega Master Systems while they're at it?
Seriously, like, why don't we just get all the number two things ever? We're the official sponsor of WCW.
Yeah, have John Franco from the Mets on there.
Yeah,
right?
That's like just everything's number two.
Have a liquid paper instead of whiteout, at the desk. Mm-hmm. Is that the number two? I think liquid paper's the number two to whiteout,
everyone just
right?
uses whiteout.
I think so. Or they call it that, right?
I mean, I'm not a child anymore with a need for whiteout, but I'm sure
adults don't need whiteout.
I mean, most stuff's online now, Joe. Like it's really just for kids at this point in their school and writing in cursive and shit.
What is internet?
No, what is internet anyway?
Anyway, something that happened also around the same time as we entered the 90s is something known colloquially as the clear craze. To give you some examples, Ivory with their 99 and 44 over 100% pure formula, right?
No deodorants, no heavy perfumes. That's a real clean. That's Ivory.
You've heard of Zima?
Yeah, Zima.
A clear malt beverage for young college adults.
Who cares? Have a Zima.
Miller Clear was even test marketed in certain parts of the country.
It looks less like piss.
It looks like piss if you're healthy.
Yeah.
Today I'm going to drink a Miller Clear beer. This came out in 1993.
Clear Palmolive, Clear Soft Soap, Clear Mouthwash. Remember the Rembrandt Clear Mouthwash?
This shit is just ridiculous. It's all just nothing, too. It's just like, we just changed what the coloring and it was. Like, that's it.
That's all it is. The Clear Gillette deodorant gels and their Clear shaving gels. Even the transparent Game Boy.
I guess that counts. But that was cooler because at least the innards look neat.
You see the innards, right? Now, let me ask you a question here. Not that we are market specialists or researchers or anything, but I was a young lad once and growing up during the clear craze.
Right.
I did think, I guess it's just damn good marketing. It did seem like this clear stuff was better somehow for you.
It didn't, maybe, but I mean, it didn't really like stick out to me. I just thought it was kind of like, it's almost the same as when like there's an accident at the fruit roll-up factory. Like I viewed it as that kind of product, just like limited time, right. Whatever, right?
Yes.
Like I did not see it as like, oh, this is like an alternative that's going to last or something.
Okay. I think the perception, I could be wrong about this, I think the marketing thrust here is because, let's say this shaving gel is clear, this soap is clear, that means there's no chemicals or things you don't want because you can see exactly what's in it and you can see through it.
Because that's what being able to see it, that's the thing with chemicals, right? Is like...
I know.
You know, some chemicals are clear, right? Like
this is true. But this is 35, years ago we're talking about now, so I understand. But there was also a specific new age beverage market. These weren't necessarily clear, but these were new beverages that had burst on the scene.
Boku
was one of them. It was, actually. Yeah. Richard Lewis will gladly tell us about that.
I don't want to alarm you, but something's happened. Boku in bottles.
There was Nordic Mist. There was Snapple. Part of that new age. Like we're not this soda shit, this sugary Mountain Dew, Coca-Cola stuff. You know what I mean?
We don't do that.
Right. We're healthy. We're Snapple, for crying out loud. The best stuff on earth.
Hello from Snapple.
To be fair to Snapple, though, a lot of
I'll always be fair to them.
One thing with them was that it was usually like iced tea or whatever.
Yes.
To a certain extent, that's a slightly more healthy than like soda. There's no syrup in it.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
it's tea.
It's tea is good for you.
It has sugar in it, but
Remember when we threw a bunch of it over in Boston? We were
part of
we
that.
Were
at the 1775
or something.
Yeah, something like that.
We were so mad at England. We're just like,
here's Snapple.
Oi, mate! It was actually in 1773 when you bloody colonists threw the tea. You plonker, fish and chips.
Yeah, we threw some Snapple over into the harbor.
Remember my dad always being like, it wasn't Snapple, right? Like
why does he feel the need to clarify?
Well, just because I'm a kid, I'm stupid. Like I thought because it looks so historical. Oh, it was like Snapple around back then. Were they like one of the tea brands that Because a lot of brands even back in the 90s, if they were very old, would allude to that they were very old. So I just
fair. It's not Sam Adams on the Sam Adams logo either.
Yeah, my dad would always tell me that too. It's like the wrong person. Like, how did they mess that up?
They thought Sam Adams didn't look good enough or something. I'm not kidding. They thought he was like too ugly.
Such a strange marketing snafu. Like
it's Paul Revere,
and they never changed it either. It's like, oh, we still Paul Revere. Like
that is funny because you could even rhyme it Revere beer or something.
There's almost something like kitschy though that's like the kind of joke a beer company would make is having the wrong person. Because you know how beer's always like, we're your friend, like funny, haha.
Yeah, known for their humor, beer companies. What?
Their ads are always like they have funnies in them, that's all.
Well, another guy that had funnies was David C. Novak, the Yum Brands chairman. We know Yum
back
Brands.
To Yum.
Back to the Yum. And his reasoning about the whole clear thing and why maybe he needed to push to get something here is that clear has that positive connotation we were talking about because these other drinks, a brown soda.
It's just like water.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Other drinks have mysterious ingredients in them,
It's kind of like also like, and this is more recent, but not.
Yeah.
I think this also was in the 90s. You remember how like they were like, hey, everyone hates how water tastes, so here's like this stuff you put in it or whatever.
Oh, yeah, that still
and
carries
it doesn't
on
add
to
anything
this
at all. It just makes it taste better. It's real fruit or
didn't
something.
You do that? Because you're like, I don't like water, like 10 years ago.
I tried it. I hated it. After, like, the first time I was like, oh, this is nice. Second time I'm like, ugh, this is sweet with no bubbling or anything. So
now you've come on board. Water's fine.
Regular water tastes better than
You'll
that.
drink water.
Yeah,
now.
It's better.
That's good. It's Quince a cactus, apparently. So anyway, Yum Brands obviously in bed there with PepsiCo, clearly, and they push for a development of maybe we can get into the clear craze, right? So they did some consumer research, and what they found is that consumers were demanding a healthier cola. All 3,000 people that they reached. Most of America, right? Yeah. 3,000 people.
Some focus group in Ohio or something.
Pretty much. There's not even 3,000 people in the town I live in, for crying out loud. Now, cola, mind you, is the top soda segment in the soft drink beverage market. I think that goes without saying.
Yes.
In the soda market,
Without
right?
question.
Cola is number one. It always
like
has
the
been.
brown stuff.
The brown yeah, really. When in doubt, the brown stuff.
The only brown stuff I know, by God, is my barbecue sauce. What did you think I was going to say, asshole?
As far as Pepsi getting in on making a cola that was clear, that's the reason. Because they're like, well, we already have, I think they had Slice at the time. They didn't have Sierra Mist yet, which now is something else now. Remember, they renamed that even.
It's always hard to keep track with that.
Sudoku, what is it called?
I don't even know. Like, seriously, I don't know
Sprax,
because
what's it
I
called?
feel like anytime I'm at the grocery store and I see whatever Mountain Dew, Sierra Mist, whatever, it's always like some other thing.
Yeah, there's always something, but
it's like nobody can make up their damn mind what they want to call this stuff.
Right. But like there were clear stuff like Sprite.
Yeah.
But that's not a cola. 7-Up, not a cola.
They
right?
don't make Sprite anymore, do they?
Coke makes Sprite.
It's
sure.
still okay. Just making
They
sure.
discontinue Sprite.
Well, I feel like like you said, they changed the name on one of them.
They did on Sierra Mist.
So it's just like so confusing.
Well, Pepsi, what they wanted to do.
7-Up, I'm thinking of.
7-Up is still around.
It is.
Of course.
But then where's the dot? Where is he?
Oh, he left a while ago. Cool Spot.
So
he retired, man.
That's so upsetting.
I'm sorry. I know.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Cool Spot's gone.
Yeah.
So what Pepsi's goal was, though, is yes, let's enter the clear beverage market, but let's do it with the beverage that is the number one market segment, a cola.
That's the thing, right? It's like, so we're going to associate it with our flagship.
Yes, it's going to be a cola, but it's going to be clear.
That will put us over the top, right? Because it was always
Coke.
the secondary ones that were like, Sprite and Mountain Dew and whatnot.
Yeah, and 7-Up and all those. Very secondary because they're in the clear beverage market.
Yeah.
But we wanted a clear cola for crying out loud. So how did they do that? Because obviously Coke is brown. You know why it's brown? Because there's caramel coloring.
Right. We just take that out and...
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
Take it out and they replaced it with some kind of starch derivative.
I mean, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah, apparently. And the other thing about this, because remember, they're trying to be healthier, it's going to be caffeine-free.
That always sucks, though. Remember, like, I think they still make this caffeine-free Coke. It's just
they
like,
still make it.
There's some empty taste about it that I can't put my finger on. Like, it's just like something is missing.
Ardent soda drinkers are able to discern the difference in taste between caffeine-free Coke and regular. I'm not.
I absolutely could.
But I know people
My friend's
can.
mom used to have that stuff, and I was just like, what is... I didn't understand as a kid, and I was like, what does this mean? Like, why and why does this taste weird?
Maybe I put it this way. I'm a coffee drinker.
Right.
I feel like I can taste decaf coffee differently.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think I can relate to you.
No, you get it then.
I think
it's
I
just
get
like, the formula is the formula. Your taste buds are just used to it and can recognize, like, it's not that you're recognizing each individual element. It's that the thing as a whole tastes a certain way. And when you take any little piece of it out of it, the balance is like off.
And that's what I'm thinking is the first thing here. So we want to do a clear cola, Pepsi, right? But we're taking out caramel. So now they have to approximate that with another
and
compound.
you'll never be able to match it to,
Correct.
like, because no taste is like exactly the same, right? Like,
no.
Like it's not exactly
correct.
The other problem is that the people who drink these drinks, that's all they drink. So they know what it tastes like. Like, so if you fuck with it, you're gonna have a problem.
That's where I'm stumped here. Obviously this soda hasn't been around regularly in over 30 years. It was 92 to 94, and we're going to get to that. But it's still a fascinating thing to me because people that drink Pepsi are probably just going to keep drinking regular Pepsi, right?
Yes.
Because
But I mean, what their aim is with all this, right?
What do you think their aim is?
It's to gain new people.
But from
in the Pepsi
where?
brand.
Like
kids,
non-soda drinkers, maybe?
It's children mostly because
they're impressionable.
The whole thing with soda, right? It's just like smoking or anything else that you get people hooked on for
kids.
life. I'm saying you're trying to get new people. Like,
it's
right?
true. New customers,
right? Because the old customers are never going to go. They're sitting in Camp Pepsi or Camp Coke, and they just aren't leaving.
True, that's a good point.
You know
what? I think you really hit something with kids because remember when green ketchup came out?
Yeah.
Who the hell do you think wanted to try that more than anybody? Kids, right?
Because that's funny, haha.
Right,
it's green instead of the one that my parents have is the red one.
The regular, the boring old people kind.
Yeah.
Shrek, you eat some funny stuff.
It's just green.
The new limited edition Shrek Easy Squirt bottles in stores now.
But I think when I was 7, 8 years old when this came out, I was very intrigued because I'm like,
of course you were.
But you weren't, right? Because it was Pepsi.
I mean, I was intrigued, and I probably tried it at, after school program, or like, somebody
Don't
had
say
it.
camp.
Maybe camp. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I think camp did have they had a soda machine there, and I'm pretty sure it was during when this was available. So, like, I'm 99% sure the camp had Crystal Pepsi in the machine because the bottlers were, back then. I mean, they had a variety of everything in those machines.
Fruitopia.
Yeah, they had literally every single thing that they provided. Yeah, so what? Like an old vending machine? What? It had like 20 choices.
It was the best.
Like
Hawaiian Punch in the can.
Yeah,
remember those?
It was just like everything, like ginger ale and like.
Sure.
So if there was something new, it was definitely like in the rotation.
Okay, fair enough. I like it.
We urge you to drink OK with full confidence that things are going to be okay.
Well, as far as developing this clear cola, which I'm not sold on being a good idea as we talk through it here, but whatever, 90 people at Pepsi worked for 15 months developing and tasting over 3,000 variations of this clear shit.
Listen, I've gone to the Coca-Cola factory.
Yeah.
Trying soda is a very weird thing because they let you try all these ones, and there are some that taste like total fucking butt. Like, and imagine tasting it while it's being tested in the mixture and it's not quite right. It's like there was probably ones that you literally they spit out because they were like so bitter and disgusting.
Now, is it like a wine tasting? They give you a spittoon and all that, and like you walk around
at the factory?
Yeah.
So what it is like it's like a little next to each, to be clean, obviously there's little tiny cups, like super not normal size
like
cups,
NyQuil cups.
Yeah, like that size, and like there's a line of them attached to each machine, so you can get obviously so you're not mixing sodas.
Yeah.
And so you just pick one up and you try a little taste of it, and that's what they have there. But they had one from like some weird European country. I don't know which one.
Estonia.
Yeah, and it was like this is only there, and Coke makes it, and I'm like, what? And so I was like, I have to try this, and I could not believe how bad this shit tastes. I was like, whoa. The fact that this is even manufactured is wild, right? It's like, it tastes so bad.
Well, for more Quinn Coke stories, please feel free to contact us, join our group, and Quinn will be sure to divulge his Coca-Cola.
And yeah, if you're wondering, by the way, that's in Atlanta. If the HQ of Coke, like
that's in Georgia.
If you visit, it's like a fake factory, meaning for tourists or whatever.
What?
So
it's not even the real thing.
Oh, look, we're making it. Blah blah blah. And like
wait, it's not real?
No, well, obviously somebody's doing it, but it's just it's a dog and pony show.
Right,
It's obviously not their like main shit.
Right,
and they have like this just area where like there's all these different like ones you could try.
Right, there's no OSHA violations and disgruntled employees here,
They're
right?
Like, look at those people making Coke behind the window or something.
Look how happy they are and they love their jobs, right?
Yeah,
look how clean this is.
Anytime I see shit like that at like a company HQ, I'm like, their job is to put on the show to make Coca-Cola. Right. There's no way that this is the normal operations.
I'm sure it's not. Yeah,
or it's like just a fraction. It's like, maybe in somewhere else in the factory, it's like they're doing the real work, and like these people are just like, it's your turn to be in the window today.
It's like the showroom, basically, right? Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, that's a lot of time. 15 months. That's a lot of people. 90. That's a lot of versions. 3,000. But I guess it's not too dissimilar to when Coke was taking their extreme gambit of changing their entire formula.
This is the process, right, of making a new soft drink. Obviously,
who pays for all this?
R&D at Pepsi.
Where does all this money come from to be paying for all
selling
this?
Pepsi.
But if
they make a lot, Joe.
But don't they want to sell more of it?
Yeah, but you got to.
They could just not spend the money.
When you run in an operation like this, right? You have to put a couple of
but some
buckaroos aside for R&D,
smackers.
right? You got to be like, okay, we're making like probably like trillions of dollars or whatever, because
trillions. Wow.
I mean, everyone's drinking this stuff, right? It's a lot.
Yes, it's a lot of people.
You could afford to put a fraction of those profits into an R&D department.
I guess
at that
you're
point.
right. Now, do we have an R&D here at Acid Wash Memories?
I think we do, but you'd have to ask Ogden.
Ogden, Utah, our headquarters. Anyway, Crystal Pepsi was publicly announced as coming to the market in November of 1991.
As the total beverage company, we know the right product may mean new products. So we've decided it's time to make one thing perfectly clear. It's Crystal Pepsi, and the time is now.
Gary Hemphill, the public relations manager for PepsiCo Inc., had the following to say.
The basic philosophy behind Crystal Pepsi is this. Crystal Pepsi is not Pepsi with the color stripped out. It's a totally new product.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
It tastes differently than Pepsi, which we married to some of the attributes of the so-called new age type products. Lighter and less sweet tasting, clear, caffeine-free, all natural flavors, and no preservatives.
Anytime you say new age, all I think of is Pure Moods. The album, okay? Sail away, sail away. Like, you know what I mean.
Sorry, Andrew Rogers.
The whole, like, new age thing in the 90s was very dumb.
Well, what about the new age outlaws?
They were cool, but they weren't, like, listening to Pure Moods.
Might have been, Quinn. Were you?
No.
Okay, just camp? No?
I'm pretty sure Pure Moods is available now on, like, Spotify and Apple Music and all that. It has to be, right?
I'll be sure to do what I need to with that information. In response, some of the competitors had some comments here. The Dr. Pepper and 7-Up company. Mm-hmm. Now, 7-Up's been around forever in terms of being a soda, right?
But 7-Up's owned by one of the conglomerates.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
They're a company. They said, we clearly set the standard for clear drinks.
Okay.
And then Coca-Cola called it a sign of weakness that Pepsi was doing this shit.
Well, because they're coming off the, like, hey, we just made this stupid ass mistake.
Right.
Like, what are you doing over there? Like, what is this?
It's true though.
We know this is a bad idea. You could have just called us up. We would have, like, very friendly, just been like, look.
Wait, they just call it, hey, Coke, this is Pepsi here. Hey, we're thinking of doing a clear soda. Is this a good idea?
We're thinking of changing our main brand.
Yeah.
To the clear soda. They're like, what?
What are you doing this for?
Why are you doing this?
Dopes. So there were some test launches planned in April of 92 in the following markets: Dallas, Texas, Providence, Rhode Island, Salt Lake City, Utah, and parts of Colorado. You notice they strayed away from the major coastal
New York,
cities
LA,
like New York and LA, and even Chicago as far as the Midwest. But it did have a test market, and there were some taste testers for the New York Times that had some comments. And guess what? We're going to read those comments because a lot of people had opinions. We'll be doing that on the other side of this break. In the meantime, get yourself a refreshing, clear beverage such as water or Sky vodka. Right? You ever have a nice
Sky vodka? Listen to this.
I'm kidding.
This is like a daytime program.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're in the daytime slot today?
Usually, yeah.
I think we might be.
We're like with Sally Jesse and all the
I don't want to be with her. Hi.
Ricky Lake.
I like her. One way or another, folks, do what you got to do. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk about the reaction and the launch to Crystal Pepsi, the short-lived clear beverage. When more Acid Wash Memories returns.
It's no small gamble Pepsi-Cola takes today, unveiling in test markets the newest weapon in the cola wars, Crystal Pepsi. Supposedly a new category of soft drink. No caffeine, low sodium, no preservatives, and oddly for a cola, no color.
That's weird. You don't expect something that white to taste like cocoa.
Crystal Pepsi isn't diet, though it has slightly fewer calories than regular cola. It's taking aim at so-called new age beverages, the higher-priced designer sparkling waters, sales of which have grown 10% a year, 4 to 5 times that of other soft drinks.
Clear has very special associations for the consumer. The niche is anybody who wants something that's healthy, that looks clean and pure.
Pepsi's new product is also intended to chip away at its cross-aisle nemesis, Coca-Cola, which for years has maintained a lead in overall sales, 40% to 30%.
Imagine a world where time drifts slowly, a world where music carries you away. Experience pure moods, the perfect soundtrack for your way of life. Direct from Europe, this multi-platinum collection has won the hearts of millions. Pure ecstasy, pure moods. No other collection captures the mood better.
Have you ever tasted Crystal Pepsi?
No, actually I haven't. It doesn't really taste like Pepsi.
What do you think?
What I do, just take a sip. It's hard to explain. It's just
It isn't anything like California white wine.
I'm embarrassed here.
What's it like?
It's a nice lemony zing taste.
What do you think?
It's not as heavy.
Less syrupy.
I'm sweating. I love it. It's refreshing. Clear taste.
This is different. Would you like to take a bath in it? Seriously.
What do you think?
It's crap!
And now we return to more acid-washed memories.
Hey, welcome back to Acid Wash Memories. This is episode number 59, and today we're talking about Crystal Pepsi. Yes, we really are doing that.
This is a thing.
Well, I mean, last week when we talked about the highway, and people really liked it.
They took to that.
They did.
I was very pleased.
I was too, because it was fun to talk about. You know, here on Acid Wash Memories, if you're newer, we talk about the mundane and sometimes the abstract, but we also talk about and will continue to talk about very popular things. And, you know, it is retro pop culture.
Right.
We've talked about big sitcoms. We got more to do. Big video games.
See, the secret is that everything's a part of pop culture.
That's right.
That's the behind the scenes,
including Crystal Pepsi, which is certainly a part of pop culture, if you will.
Well, that's definitely true.
It is true. Another thing that's true is you can go over and follow us on Twitter at AWM Podcast. And really, we mean it. If you have Facebook, join our Facebook group, Acid Wash Memories. The reason I encourage people to do that is because we're not, like, everyone's nice.
Yeah.
This isn't one of those places where people are going to be mean to you for no reason.
Just goofing around.
Yeah, exactly. Post stuff, have fun.
The Kansas City model.
What is the Kansas City model?
I don't know!
The other thing, too, is if you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever app you use. We would really appreciate that. That can be done on any app at any time, so you can do it right now, and we'll wait. Thank you. The other thing, I'm going to mention this now for those of you that do listen every week in a row. It'll also be posted on our Facebook group and on our Twitter.
A programming note, if you will.
Programming note. Programming alert! The next couple of weeks, probably only 2, possibly 3, but definitely 2, Quinn and I will not be doing a brand new full episode of Acid Wash Memories, but we have special archived content that we are going to be unveiling to you.
A repost of sorts.
Yeah, but only for people that have been with us for a really long time. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know of this existence.
Right.
We have some pilot episodes of Acid Wash Memories that we're going to be putting out for the next couple of weeks. They are about the same type of topics that we've done on this show.
They are.
But you will get, see, here's the caveat. Quinn and I will be doing new intros for them. So you'll still get to hear from us the next couple of weeks in live form, okay?
Yeah, form.
Form.
Some sort of form.
And the reason for that is because I, Joe Murata, am moving, thus the studio moves with us.
Therefore, it's not going to be
it's not going to be
conducive to doing a program here.
Right.
Until it's all set up again in the other location.
Exactly. So worst case, it'll be 2 weeks, the next 2 weeks, episodes 60 and 61. I'm going to number them so they'll be officially in the canon.
Yeah.
But if not, it'll be 3. I think it'll just be 2. One way or another, do join us, though, because Quinn and I will be able to provide live updates as the studio falls into disarray around us in these next 2 weeks.
I mean, we still got everything here for the most part. We're missing some pictures
Stuff's
behind
falling
me.
off the walls.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's getting turbulent.
I would say it's like 85% intact right now.
Yeah, 85 is a good number.
Press time.
As of press time. So that's all. Thank you guys so much for being with us here. All right. As I mentioned before the break, we had a test launch in Dallas, Providence, Salt Lake City, and parts of Colorado. And there were taste testers for, the New York Times, so watch out. Here's
fancy pants.
Fancy pants. Here's a couple of comments. It has no guts to it. This is just flabby.
What's the next one? This sucks.
It lacks structure.
Yeah.
It lacks structure, as we say in the wine business.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any character to it. Here's the other one. It's a little dusty. It evokes flavor, but somehow it's hollow.
Jay Sherman says, it stinks.
He probably did. He probably would have.
Imagine that being on an episode of The Critic. Like, that's something they would put on.
They would.
Episode.
I mean, wouldn't that start?
That show
93?
was so offbeat.
Yeah,
it was funny.
It stinks.
It stinks.
It stinks.
This was just off the test marketing, by the way. This is just from the test results. In the midst of that, undaunted, you know what else Pepsi unveiled, Quinn?
What?
Diet Crystal Pepsi.
Is that necessary?
No.
I thought it's already supposed to be healthy.
I guess now we have no calories in this weird tasting thing.
Yeah.
This is only marketed in one very important city, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, them. Okay.
In August of 92.
To me, remember when they went like as far? This is just on an aside because it makes
those.
sense that the diet is there only because back in those days they also did stuff like here's diet caffeine free.
Yes.
So like what? How many like things are we removing from this? Here's water. Like, it's like,
Caffeine-free Diet Pepsi, I get all that great taste, but there's no caffeine.
I just always never liked the removal of stuff being like it just keep adding on to the removal of shit.
Diet caffeine-free Pepsi is like, why are you even bothering drinking
What
this?
is the point of this?
It doesn't even taste like Pepsi anymore.
Who is this for? Is it maybe because there's people that are like, I know the aspartame is supposed to be like addictive or something. There are people who prefer Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke more than the originals because I think they're addicted to the aspartame. I think that's part of it because I've heard there's plenty of people that are like I've seen online over the years that's like no, diet is my choice.
Believe it or not, I've never heard of an aspartame addiction. I'm serious, but I believe you.
They also pretend that Coke is not addictive when it is, and I can tell you for a fact it is.
Oh, I know it is.
I do Coke so I can work longer, so I can earn more, so I can do more Coke.
So what about the full launch of this shit? We've test marketed the regular. We've test marketed the diet in Grand Rapids. Well, in December of 92, it was launched in earnest, and Pepsi predicted that in its first year, Crystal Pepsi would capture 2% of the soft drink market. If that sounds
pretty
like
low expectations.
It does. I was going to say, if that sounds like a low number, I understand. But I need you to understand that that's about $1 billion in revenue.
Right. But how many people is that?
I don't know. It's $1 billion. Yeah. Think about that.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, it's a big market, right?
I just mean for them, that's tiny.
I think for a break-in drink, I mean, that's not too bad, right? Where did
I just mean it's not. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, is it really worth their while to even be doing this for 2% of their market?
I think so. For $1 billion in sales, man.
Yeah, but or they could just make up that $1 billion in Pepsi sales.
Well, that was my initial point. Is why are we paying for this?
Yeah,
right?
and that's all I'm saying.
When it comes to cola, nobody does it better. Crystal Pepsi builds on our reputation and our trademark. It's the first new soft drink in a while to fly the Pepsi banner.
It did wind up getting 1% of the beverage market in its first year.
That's better than I would have thought.
500
to be quite
million,
honest.
Yeah, I know it's not bad.
That's way better than I would have thought.
Well, considering how quickly this fizzled out, yeah. Their slogan was, "You've never seen a taste like this." What do you think of that?
At least they're being honest that it tastes different. They're not saying like, look, like this is the same thing, just clear.
Fair, okay.
Yeah. Because I hate when they're dishonest about that, like same great taste, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because usually it's not.
Yeah.
Usually it's not great anymore.
It could take away from sales of regular cola, or it could flop.
There was a pretty famous Super Bowl ad in 1993 with the Sammy Hagar version of Van Halen, which I know we probably have so many people that prefer Sammy's era to Dave's era. I do not. I like Dave's era much more. In fact, I'm wearing my Van Halen shirt as we speak.
The Dave era is like the one everyone knows. Like Sammy Hagar's like we're kind of not popular anymore.
They were. Listen, they were.
It's not that they weren't popular. They're not as popular.
I just think
they're not in the zeitgeist as much.
Listen, we can. Those of you that want to debate this, feel free. I'll state right now, Sammy Hagar, for anyone that's going to say it, is a much better singer than David Lee Roth. But I don't care.
Yeah, probably.
He is, but I like David Lee Roth as a frontman better for Van Halen.
David Lee Roth, like to me, is Van Halen.
He was an integral part.
Yeah.
In why they were what they were.
Right.
In the late 70s and early 80s. He just was.
Seemed like such a reach to like replace him.
I mean, they did well with Sammy.
Like
don't get me wrong.
Pepsi with Crystal Pepsi.
Well, that's the thing.
Would have been a reach.
So they used Van Halen's song known as "Right Now," which was from, I believe,
now I'm remembering the commercials. Shit.
See?
Yeah, they
remember that
pushed the shit out of that.
They did, starting with the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right Now, I think, is from their 91 album called Fuck. For unlawful.
It's called Fuck?
Yeah, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge.
Are you serious? I never even knew that.
It's called Fuck.
It's the actual name?
Well, it's called For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge.
Yeah, but I mean, it says the F word on the cover.
It says the bad word.
I hope they put the parental guidance suggested on the...
Well, you know what'll happen. Joe Lieberman.
Yeah.
I like that we always blame him. It's not always him.
He comes up a lot on this show.
He's a friend of the show, Joe Lieberman. What are you playing in there, Sonny?
Is he still around? Can we have him on one day? I'm sure he would talk about this stuff.
I'd prefer not to. I mean, you want to have him instead of...
I thought that, that he needed to... I'm envisioning like a nasally person talking to us.
It's like a bad Jimmy Stewart impression.
Yeah.
You see, I think we need to
do something about this cursing.
The cussing. Anyway, Coca-Cola decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to release Tab Clear.
We're bringing back Tab now?
Well, Tab was still technically around, but just so beneath in the market because Diet Coke.
Yeah, it's one of those drinks that I think a lot of people thought was discontinued in the 70s.
It was still around.
Yeah.
It might still be. I'm not even joking. It might still be.
It's one of those drinks that's like secretly around, and I'm not sure if it's one of those like retro throwbacks when I see it. Like that it's like a temporary thing.
Around.
Like, but no, there's somebody in a factory still packaging this shit.
Now the thing about Tab is that it was Coca-Cola's first diet drink.
Enjoy Tab and keep your shape in shape. Be a mind sticker.
Now this came out in the 60s, Tab.
Right, I
just
know
for
that.
The record,
yeah.
right?
Even Mad Men talked about it.
It was actually discontinued, I just looked, in 2020.
Okay.
But
finally.
Jeez,
nobody was drinking that shit.
No.
When did you ever see Tab?
Probably in the 60s, and that's it,
Yeah,
right?
when it was
in
new.
In the 70s, yeah.
When maybe it got a Super Bowl III commercial. Like, possibly.
What is that, the one the Jets won?
Yeah, 69.
The number 2, if you will, of the New York NFL teams.
That would be the time to advertise Tab.
The Jets Super Bowl, yeah. Joe Namath era around then. Anyway, so Tab had been a pretty shitty brand by 1993, right, when this happened. Diet Coke usurped it intentionally on Coke's part in the 80s as the diet drink marketed by
They
Coca-Cola.
were already like dismantling their own thing.
Yeah, they knew. But they kept it around. I guess it had a niche market or whatever. So the theory, which was later confirmed many years later, is that Coca-Cola did this as a kill mission, meaning it was an intentional sabotage to screw with Pepsi. So they've released a clear soda under their Tab brand, not Coca-Cola.
Because there's no skin off their back. They're just like, this thing's nothing anyway.
Tab Clear, a new diet cola with a totally mysterious flavor. More than just a clear cola. Tab Clear, taste and decide.
Tab is already a diet drink.
Right. So this is Tab's market.
And they use that to their advantage because when people heard about that coming out and they associate it with Crystal Pepsi, they're saying, wait a second, this is that healthy junk that doesn't taste as good, like Tab.
Yeah, that failed all those years ago.
Right.
Like, this is just another rehash, right?
So, so Coca-Cola kind of
even if it wasn't Pepsi's
there.
intention, that Coca-Cola's injecting that into people's heads through the marketing.
Exactly.
Right?
They kind of sabotaged them. But you know what? I think the funnest thing to do here is reading more comments from people in various newspapers that tasted this stuff back in 93.
Reading Carvel reviews.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, folks, if you did drink Crystal Pepsi, whether in 93 or maybe in one of its re-releases, which we'll talk about, I want to hear from you. I did, like I said, I drank it in the 90s. Mm-hmm. I didn't like it.
What I find fascinating about this discussion is more that I didn't think of it like a good for you thing.
I didn't either.
I thought it was just like
soda.
Well, because Pepsi was known for all these gimmicks and shit, I just thought that this was just look, that's pretty neat. It's just Pepsi but clear. Like, just like a limited. Again, I thought as a kid it was limited time.
I agree with you. I think I did too. I didn't quite understand what it was supposed to be. I didn't know if it was.
But I knew soda brand as a kid. I did know that soda brands would do stuff like this because remember, like Cherry Coke was like rare initially.
Yeah, I remember the old logo too.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. It's like soda companies just did this kind of stuff. You were almost conditioned that this isn't like serious. Like this is just for funsies for at the grocery store for a couple of times, right?
Yeah, I think you know what it really is. I think it's the fact that they branded it as Crystal Pepsi.
The fact that it had the Pepsi made it seem like. Why are they going more serious with this, right? I guess, can we really say that, though? Because Cherry Coke, it's taking the Coke branding.
Yeah, okay. You know what? But that's just Coke with cherry flavoring.
But specifically, you notice what Coke did differently there?
What's that?
They put the Coke not like the new formula, like spelled COKE, not Coca-Cola. Like it did not have the classic branding.
No,
on
it said
like
Coke
in any way.
Yeah.
Even though it was technically Coca-Cola Classic with cherry in it.
Yeah, but they call it Cherry Coke.
Right.
That's the name of the drink,
with
right?
a K.
With a yes, with a K.
Yeah.
Coke, not with a K-O-K-E. That'd be weird.
Mm-hmm.
We just mean Coke. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying this episode, folks. Maybe it's not as good as the Highway one, but we're trying here. Anyway, in the Lewiston Morning Tribune, of course, we all read that one in February of 1993. Bonnie Tandy LeBlanc had this to say.
Tell us, Bonnie.
If you drink soda and want to be trendy, you might give this a try. But I don't believe a nutritionally worthless drink is worth the calories or questionable ingredients.
That's pretty brutal.
That is mean.
If you want to be trendy, nutritionally worthless.
She must have really liked her unhealthy soda, and she's just like bashing, right?
Wouldn't you? I would, I think. I'd be like, this crap. I don't
Probably, why does this... You have this bottle up. I'm seeing the bottle right now.
Yeah.
Why does it just look like a water balloon? Like, it has like a water balloon-esque look to it. It's different than a normal Pepsi bottle.
It's all very unsettling. This whole topic makes me unsettled because
it literally looks like a water balloon. Like that's like a little squeezed in the middle.
You're right, it does. How about the Star News, also February of 1993? Here are various consumer taste testers and their comments.
We didn't like the taste, specifically the lack thereof. It tasted like sugar water, and it seemed to go flat very quickly.
How about this one?
I didn't like Crystal Pepsi at all.
Just blunt. It sucked.
I only drank 3 swallows and poured it out.
Out of here. Get it out of here.
July 26, 1993, in the Oxnard Press Courier.
It's terrible.
That's already compliments? Like, this is so terrible. This is so bad.
It's too syrupy and too sugary.
And a lot
That's funny because it's like supposed to be the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, it's sugar water. It has too many calories. It's too sweet. It sucks. What I remember, and this was in a bunch of other comments as well, was an aftertaste. And a lot of people commented on that. I remember a weird aftertaste when I drank this back in 93.
I don't remember anything about it because nobody cared.
Yeah, I definitely do. It had like, you drank it and you're like, oh, this kind of tastes like Pepsi. And then it was like, like a lizard crawled in there and farted in your mouth.
It's probably a result of whatever alteration they had to make to get it to where it needed to be.
I think that's exactly what it is.
And it's just the side effect.
Yeah, it's a side effect, right? So this was discontinued. It launched in
How long did it last?
It launched for real in December of 92. It was discontinued at the end of 1993.
It's kind of longer than I thought. I thought it would be like, how Coke, it was like 3 months or something where they were like, okay, we got to...
Yeah, but they kept New Coke around until 2002 or something. You know what I mean? They did keep it.
But yeah.
This they pulled. So basically, 1 year.
But this never... Okay, to be fair, they did not fall into the trap that Coke did where they just like replaced... the main thing. Like,
that would have been disastrous.
This is like an extra thing. Like
yes.
This is like if you like it, try it.
I know, but again, 15 months of development. It took longer to develop than it was on the market.
True, but I feel like again, to be fair to them, that's just the way it goes with R&D. Like sometimes you just make something and you think, oh man, this is gonna be really good. We're really proud of our work, and then it just gets rejected. Like it just happens. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Perhaps you should get research from more than 3,000 people.
Maybe, but
isn't this their job to know these things?
But I don't think
to know what will work.
I'm not sure we can say they were negligent in their research because, like, it's not like they did nothing.
Do you think it's just a shitty product that nobody really wanted?
Yeah, it might just literally be like a swing and a miss. Like it was just like,
I think it is.
we'll give it a shot, right? Like, why not?
Well, have you heard the theory? I forget what it's called, but it has something to do with like consumer brand confidence, right? Where even if you change the packaging of your product, if it was something homey, like I don't know, I'm just giving you a random example, like a Snickers bar, Doritos, or something, right? And you're used to it, consumers used to it for years and years and years. And then even changing the bag to look more upscale.
Yeah, it does throw people off.
It psychologically makes people think, has something changed with the product?
Is it more expensive now? Or did, what happened?
Did they change the ingredients? Like, why did this happen, right? And this is like a really extreme example because Pepsi the word, right, has an association of like, okay, that's the soda that's like Coke.
It's the flagship.
Right. And now you're using Pepsi with your new
that
clear
might have been
soda.
part of it.
I think it is.
Honestly, if they just called it Crystal, only Crystal, that might have actually went a little bit better.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned that because after the last shipments went out in early '94, once it was discontinued,
because Crystal's a cool name too, by the way. Like for like a clear beverage.
Yes. Pepsi heeded your advice, Quinn, and they rebranded the drink as Crystal from the makers of Pepsi, now branding it as a caffeine-free citrus drink.
Action. Hi, introducing new Crystal Pepsi.
Slight change. It's Crystal from Pepsi.
Hi, introducing new Crystal from Pepsi. It's a citrus cola.
Slight change.
Hi, introducing new
Make 98.
It's a citrus cola with a taste beyond lemon lime.
Now this I never had. I don't even think I knew this happened.
I've even seen this.
Right. So
and I've seen a lot of sodas in my day.
You have, including Latvian Coca-Cola, for
also
example.
caffeine-free, by the way.
It still is. And so they, too little, too late. See, this is what they should have done initially. We're going to make a clear drink called Crystal.
And I think that maybe the other thing here is like, yeah, this is probably what they should have done. They also should have cooled it on the marketing a little bit. Like, let it just kind of get out there and see if people like it.
And no Van Halen.
I think the thing that is remembered most is that they marketed the shit out of it.
They did.
Like that they spent the marketing budget on it. That's probably the biggest folly of it all. It's not the product itself because, I mean, what I mean to say is like...
Partially it.
You got to try new stuff as a cola maker. Like, it's just kind of part of what they do, right? It would almost be like negligent if they didn't try to put different things out over the years, right? Like, just to see if it, maybe it's like, because you might just hit the jackpot. It might be bigger than your flagship. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes. And the other thing, too, there might be something to be said for the psychological aspect here. Because what if in the 1990s they had taste testers tasting Coca-Cola, actual Coca-Cola, but the taste testers were told it was some new soda from another beverage company. And what if it got all these negative remarks because people don't know what it is, right?
Yeah.
So they're just coming in completely neutral.
Mm-hmm.
But what if they did the same thing and said it's a new soda from Pepsi? Then people would probably be very complimentary to it.
Yeah. They would.
If it was a Coca-Cola, I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the fact that it's Pepsi branded, but was a clear soda, had a lot to do with why people rejected it.
Right.
I think it's those two things. The Pepsi brand, fine.
There's a time and a place to use your flagship branding to get something over, and there's a time to not do it. And this is an example of not.
I think you're right.
To not, because immediately the person drinking it is asking, well, why doesn't it taste like Pepsi?
Yes.
Right? Like, that's the problem.
And they're inherently comparing it to regular Pepsi.
Right.
Which is not a fair comparison.
I think the assumption, right, from the layman that doesn't know how this stuff's made or anything, they just think it's clear Pepsi.
Correct.
And then they drink and they're like, but it doesn't taste the same. I don't understand, right?
Yep.
It's like, and then the fact that it's different, just the fact that it's different, they're like, this stinks.
I think that...
Not even if it's good or not, right?
Jay Sherman, too, right? This stinks.
But that's what I mean. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just like, because the expectation is that it tastes like Pepsi, but it's clear.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think that's the biggest blunder there. David Novak had some comments way after the fact, retrospectively, and here is what he had to say. It's the Yum Brands guy again. He says, it was a tremendous learning experience. I still think it's the best idea I ever had.
What?
And the worst executed.
Huh. I mean, again, I didn't really... I probably tasted it, but I don't have any recollection of what it tasted like.
I do.
And so...
I didn't like it.
So from my perspective, I feel like I can't offer the same insight.
That's fair enough. I know people that are listening have had this before.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be people, and I want to hear what they think. David Novak would go on to say, a lot of times as a leader, you think, they don't get it. They don't see my vision. People were saying we should stop and address some issues along the way, and they were right. It would have been nice if I'd made sure the product tasted good. Once you have a great idea and you blow it, you don't get a chance to resurrect it.
Well, that's true.
It is. However, there was a homespun grassroots revival of Crystal Pepsi.
You know, just like every other old weird
Ecto Cooler.
Yeah, it's like, to me, this is like not a surprise in any way at all, because this is just like a thing these companies do now. It's like, hey, remember this dumb idea we had? We're gonna put it out for like a couple weeks in October or something, like, and it's gonna be funny, haha. Everyone's gonna be laughing, right?
It's the young Gen Xers and the older millennials teaming up to get this shit changed, right?
Yeah.
And the only one that I've really been clamoring for that has not come back yet is Pizzeria's Chips.
I know you've been campaigning for years. Why is it specifically the one you've campaigned for? Like, they don't bring it back,
man. I know.
You know what? The one thing I will say to you about that.
What?
Do you think it's so far removed from them existing that you don't properly remember what they take? Like, meaning,
I do, Quinn.
You think in your head you do, but like if they made them and they stuck to the exact same, like it was exactly verbatim of whatever the fuck it was in 1990 or whatever, like, and it came out, you'd be like, this doesn't taste right. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though it tastes like exactly right.
I don't know. It's really in my memory, the taste of those chips, but I have to find out.
I'm just making a point that it's like, it's hard to retain a taste in your brain for like 30 years. Like, especially when you haven't had it.
Certain things you can.
I mean, I'm still waiting for the everything chip thing that they allegedly brought back, but then I was like, that's not, it's got an extra thing in it or something.
The Works or whatever?
The Works. Like, the specific one from like the mid 90s.
I know the one you mean.
And it's just like not.
Late 90s, yeah.
Ugh. Like, I want that one back.
Those were very, very good.
Yeah.
In 2015, on change.org, there was a petition to bring back Crystal Pepsi that reached 37,000 signatures.
That's a lot more than you would think for some failed thing.
Absolutely. Tens of thousands on the social media highway, such as Twitter and the YouTubes and Instagram. They were commenting. 15 billboards were erected around the Los Angeles area demanding Crystal Pepsi be brought back. And there was even a rally held at Pepsi headquarters in June of 2015. A rally. And you know what?
Imagine Pepsi just be like, are these people fucking kidding me? Like, this shit failed.
They were bemused. They were a little bit like, what? And they said, you know what? We're going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, because here's the thing.
It's good PR.
It's marketing. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, like, they're just, I bet you to bring this out, they put it in the marketing budget. Like, you know what I mean? It's not even part of the, like,
R&D,
production, R&D or anything. It's just like, what's the recipe? Get it out of the file and then just put it in the factory. And it's like, we'll use the PR budget for this.
I think you're probably right. It probably is. This is all marketing to me.
Yeah.
We're finally ready to relaunch Crystal Pepsi.
Crystal Pepsi? I thought they shut that division down decades ago.
And in mid-2016, Crystal Pepsi was briefly revived in limited release. I gotta say that I did not... This is how much I didn't care about this fucking soda.
I didn't even partake because I just didn't give a shit. Like,
again, some of our fans probably did.
Because it's Pepsi. That's my main reason.
Well, you have a whole different reason, a built-in reason why you wouldn't care. In 2018, it was again briefly revived, and there was even like a giveaway version in 2022, pretty recently. Now, I don't know if this crossed over the pond, which, by the way, fish and chips and all that stuff,
Fish, chip.
Oi, chap. We do have the Feezy drink over here on our side of the pond, yeah? Fish and chips and Feezy drink.
Exactly. But if it did, I want to hear if it tasted good over there. Maybe it was a different formula or something. I don't know how it all works.
I do. I'll say this. I appreciate that these companies are aware that there's people that remember this shit. Right? It's like, listen, I know like a corporation is not your friend or whatever, but it feels like the bare minimum they could do to like kind of like delight the fans for a little bit, right? Is like just bring it back for a month or whatever.
I agree with you. I think that that we should take this to Keebler.
Yeah.
The same energy that they had for Crystal Pepsi. Tell Keebler to buy the recipe back from whoever the hell they sold it to.
So wait, there's some long history of the recipe getting sold.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Quinn,
You've done like intense research about getting this Keebler shit back.
How do I know that?
I know, it's just like a weird factoid. It'd be like knowing that the Ecto Cooler recipe was sold to some dude in Sweden or something. Like, you know?
No, not Sweden. But in all seriousness, I think that that's what we should do. So even though this is a Crystal Pepsi episode, my call to action is let's get Keebler to buy the recipe back or recreate it, and let's get Pizza Ranch back on the shelves in 2025, baby.
I hate to break it to you, Joe, that might actually be the barrier, that they would actually spend money that wasn't their PR to like get it back.
We'll do a donate.
They'd have to do an M&A to do this show.
Listen, I will donate. All right.
Oh, you're $50. That's really gonna
$50. It's like carried away.
Your $10 is really gonna make a move here for Keebler.
It might. Folks, listen. If you had Crystal Pepsi, we want to hear what you thought of it. Maybe there's at least one person who was devastated that it was discontinued.
There had to be, though, because there's always a couple
Listening,
of people that like they pick it up and they're like, "That's good," and then they just keep getting it,
Yes.
and that's like their thing, right? That happens all the time.
So whoever you are out there, if you're not a member of our group or don't follow us on Twitter, make sure you do so you can let us know that, yes, Crystal Pepsi was your favorite drink when it came out in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
You love it. We want to hear from you. The rest of you that tolerated it or maybe hated it, maybe it was terrible, we want to hear from you guys as well. I find it personally interesting, Quinn, just laughing at big corporations making mistakes.
It is funny.
I like doing it with New Coke.
It's amusing.
It's funny with Pepsi. It's funny with McDonald's and all their shit that they've messed up.
I'll say this as somebody like that is analyzing it now more regularly on this show. There is some point that you have to like contextualize, I guess, in your mind. That's like, these are humans making the decisions.
Sure.
It's like not everything is going to be like the best, right?
No, absolutely.
It's not like they have like AI decide if they're going to make a new type of Pepsi.
Nowadays, though, Quinn,
maybe now,
that could all be
but
changing.
maybe the AI just presents the idea and somebody is like, that's not a good idea, and maybe it's the best idea ever.
Maybe we should have AI start generating ideas for our show.
Maybe
we should do that. Folks, thank you so much for being with us here. We hope this was clear enough for you. We really do. We really do appreciate it. Please give us a follow on the social media channels that we mentioned. We would love that, and leave us a review. As I mentioned, I just don't want to leave any lingering doubt. You're still going to hear from me and Quinn. We're still going to be here. There's going to be an episode every Monday still.
Yeah, it's just a live break because of moving circumstances.
But we'll still be introducing these episodes, okay?
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere.
And I'm sure it'll be fun taking a look at the past and how this show kind of came about.
Yeah, the formative years, the early pilot episodes of
like
Acid
way
Wash
before
Memories.
we even did it regularly.
Yeah, different theme music, everything. Yeah. That'll all be coming the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, thank you so much for being with us here. We really do appreciate you. One way or another, we will see you next week for more Acid Wash Memories.
See ya.
Like what you heard? Be sure to leave a review and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. We will see you next week.